Just to clear things up, yes, Kiwi, I don't recommend anybody does this. This is like, if you want to mess around with switches in a keyboard, just buy a hot swappable keyboard. Like, the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm kind of a nerd and I generally enjoy soldering in projects like this. But also, when I bought this keyboard, I had no idea, about the whole deal with. I didn't know that I would ever care about the switches. All right, so I'm about to embark on a journey here. I've had this keyboard for a few years now. I love it. It's a great keyboard. It's a Logitech G513 Carbon. I like the brushed metal look. I'm pretty sure this is an aluminum front plate. It's definitely metal. It's a good keyboard. And yeah, I've loved it. The only thing is, when I first bought this keyboard, I had no idea what my preferences were as far as key switches go. So this has clicky switches, quite clicky switches. I think they're Gateron blues. Yeah, it says GX blue. I think these are Gateron switches. But the point is, they're super, super clicky. And here, this is one of them. Quite clicky. There's a pretty distinct ping to it. But it's just getting old. The sound is getting old. The feeling is great. I like the somewhat tactile bump that these have, but I don't want just linears, but I don't like the noise. It's too loud. So I bought one of these little keyboard tester or sample boards from Otemu. And basically, I know they're like the cheap brand, but it's $10 for a big old bag of switches. I read some things that say they're fine. Other people say they're too wobbly and this and that, but I don't think I'm that discerning yet in this whole hobby space. Brand new to this. So I ended up going between like this orange one, this blue one, and I think it was like the silver and the black. And I played with this for a long time, and then I finally kind of just had to pick one. And I think this one, the purples, is what really I landed on, just for the feel and the sound. It's got like the lowest, deepest sounding, I don't know. It sounds good to me, and it feels good to me. So that is what I went with. So I pulled the trigger and spent a whole $10 on this bag of purple Otemu switches, 110 from AliExpress. And they came a couple weeks later, and it's kind of just been laying around until I, got the gumption to do this. Did a little bit more research, and then realized that I wanted to like kind of go all out on this, because I don't want to have to open up my keyboard over and over again to like, fiddle with it. I just want it to work really well and have quieter switches. So I went ahead and went on Amazon and bought one of these cheap little keyboard lubing kits. It's got a couple paint brushes. It came with this grease. It's got a little tweezers, already have some tweezers. And then it has a keycap puller. I'm gonna need that in a second. And then this little holder dealy, the claw, which is kind of cool. What else do we have in here? I forget. Oh, right. The switch puller. I'm going to need this. And then I realized that I didn't have everything I needed, because if I'm gonna lube them, I need to get into them, and doing 104, I think, keys on this keyboard, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to do all those with like a little screwdriver or something. So, but anyways, this was really cheap too. I think it was like $7 or $8. So it's a cool thing to have. It's nice, anodized aluminum, feels good. Oh, there's a kitty cat. There's Kiwi. You're bumping the camera, Bubba. Did you want to be a part of this? You can be a part of this. Come here. You want to step on the keyboard? You like to do that. Come Okay, he's just like chilling in the shop. Let me see. Okay, that's fine. We're fine with that. So anyways, yeah, I guess, oh yeah, that's right. There's a couple more things. I don't have like the proper oil. This didn't come with oil, so I'm just using, this is some vacuum oil, and it's like a somewhat heavier, I'm guessing fully synthetic oil. I think that'll be fine for this, the springs. So I'm just gonna use this. He's such a stinker. Anyways, yeah, I guess first things first, I'm gonna use my little keycap puller, pull off all these keycaps, put them in this little container of hot soapy water, and have them soaking while we're doing this. But yeah, I have to do this a bunch of times, so probably just put this on time lapse. Go ahead and do that. Now that I got all that done, Kiwi, you shouldn't drink that. I'm gonna just go put these elsewhere so I don't spill this everywhere, and let these soak while we're doing the rest of it. Kiwi, this is becoming a problem. I love you. I love you. All right, so as you can see, it's kind of dirty. But also what I forgot to mention is, just to see the feasibility of this project, I took it apart and I got one key replaced just to see. I didn't even know if they were compatible. I was pretty sure, but now I kind of know how it works with the 3-pin and the 5-pin. But yeah, it went in easy. So let's give this a little cleanup, then tear it down further. Okay, that's fine for now. Now we gotta, I think we just start by taking all these screws out. I'm not quite sure. It's been a minute since I took this apart. Oh, no, there's also, I know there's some under these feet. So this will be somewhat of a teardown video. Now we have a bunch of little bitty screws all around. This is the first one. Got one down already. I think 103 to go now. So I think I'm gonna get a little bowl to put the old switches in. But first, I should actually, I think we can take this apart. Now there's a cable. Yeah, there's a cable here, and it's got a little screw terminal here where the ground or the sleeve connection is. So I'm going to take that off. Come on, give me that. There we go, and then we can just unplug this little JST connector, I think it is. Was there tabs? Yeah, there wasn't any tabs. And here it is. Here's the board. It's being held together by the key switches themselves. Oh yeah, and I didn't even address this. When I took it apart a while ago, before I even wanted to do this upgrade or whatever, you know, I'd been reading about keyboard stuff and looking at videos, and I guess everyone likes to do the foam for muting. And this is, again, probably not the right foam, but it honestly, it made a huge difference. It sounded way less hollow. But yeah, this is, you know, the foam I put in. I probably won't redo that this time. I'll probably do some more research and try and figure it out, what I should do as far as this goes. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna leave this in here because it sounds and feels better with this foam. But yeah, you can probably just take this piece and put it to the side. But yeah, here's the board. Here's the work I already did, and the little escape key. And yeah, only a couple more to go. And I guess there's this little, there's this little cover here over the numpad keys. I'm gonna have to take that off. I'm just gonna stick it on a little plastic bag. Hopefully that'll protect it some and it'll be easy to take off. I'm gonna need another one of these because the little guide I watched for switch lubing recommended to take the switches apart and then put the springs in a bag and add a little bit of oil and shake it up to evenly distribute the oil on the springs, and that doesn't sound like a terrible idea. I think I'm going to do that. I probably should just put this aside for now and focus on the switches, because if I'm going to lube them all, I'm going to have to take them all apart and then, you know, lube them all, put them all back together, and then I'll actually get to the soldering. So let's do that. Okay, that should be 103 keys. I'm just gonna trust that that's correct. And I'll start taking them apart. Kiwi! There he is. Good boy. That was a huge pain in the ass, but I think I got faster as I went on. And basically the only tips that I can give, I still probably suck at this, but what I came to understand is that it's less about just giving it all the beans and more about finesse. You kind of got to just wiggle it until you feel the little wedges go up under there. I guess you can kind of see that. I can zoom in. See how the wedge just starts to lift up that tab? You can see it behind the clear tab. And you got to just make sure and do that on both sides at the same time. And then, like, the way you're holding it matters too, because if you're pressing down on it just from the clear top part, it's not going to release easily. But you see, it's just a finesse thing. You get the feel of it after a minute. But yeah, that's basically my only tip that I can give about this. And then, of course, you got the constituent parts now. Yeah, so the parts we need to lube are the channels there, and then around the bottom where the spring goes in, but being careful not to get any lube on the contacts themselves. And then on here, on these little channels or little slot-y things that slide in the channels. So I'm going to carefully lube all that stuff, and then reassemble the switches as I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm just going to do that as a time lapse, and we'll get all these switches put back together. Oh wait, nearly forgot. First, I'm going to lube the springs. So just put like a couple drops of this oil in here. 6 drops, that seems plenty. Yeah. Okay, those are definitely lubed now. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get out the tools I need, which for this will be this very fine bristled brush, so that I can get in those channels without getting too much where I don't need it, and the keyboard grease, and I'll probably use tweezers. All right, let's get the time lapse going and get these put back together. Well, second one, and I managed to kill my first switch. I think I just put it on backwards at first, which hopefully I don't do that again, because as you can see, that contact is all bent to shit, and it should look like that. So let's see the difference there. Yeah, that one's not going to work anymore. So, okay, I'm going to try and not do that anymore. Woo! That took a while. Yeah, that was a lot. Although, you know, the work was nice. It was a little bit meditative. You kind of just zone out. Oh my God, is that 7:47? Okay, so that took nearly 3 hours, but honestly, it wasn't too bad. I had that first casualty in the beginning. I think I needed that, you know, that first fatality, that first casualty is like a blood sacrifice to the keyboard gods. I'm going to pack this stuff up, have something to eat, and now that I have all these beautiful, lovely lubed switches, I'm going to tomorrow, some point, get the rest of this project done. Okay, so it's the next day, and I got my whole station rearranged here. Got my soldering iron set up, and I think we're finally ready to, come on. I think we're finally ready to pull out all of these old switches, all the old clickies, and get everything prepped to put in our new tactiles. So, there's the one I already took out. I think I'm gonna start by just prepping the board, but I think just for the video, I'm going to, and because I just wanna use my new toy, the first switch that I desolder, I'll put it under the microscope so you guys can get a better view of it. And then the rest of them I'll just do time lapse because it's gonna take a minute. So let's set up the microscope and get this first switch going. Try and get my solder sucker as vertical as possible here. Oh my God, that did way better. You see that? I can see down the hole. Yeah, verticality is the key. You gotta get right on top of it. Oh, that didn't work as well. Sort of worked, but not great. Let's shut down the microscope and yeah, try this just freehand. It's gonna be easier that way. All right, let's get the microscope out of here real quick. Forgot to put on gloves last time. Okay, let's try this one more time. This same key. I know it's silly to keep filling it with solder, but I wonder if I can. I just want to see if it's going to be easy once it's once I can go completely vertical with the solder sucker. I'm pretty sure it will be, because I remember when I took out that first key, the escape key, it went pretty easily using the solder sucker. So let's just fill these holes back up. I know it's silly, but just trust me, it makes it work way better when you have solder to suck. Otherwise, it's not like making a full vacuum on there. Where's my solder? Okay, here's the solder sucker. Kiwi, we're gonna have to ask you to leave for now. I love you, Bubba. This is very hot. It's very hot and not dangerous. It's very dangerous for kitties. Not good for kitties. It's gonna be hurty for kitties, okay? I love you. Okay. Okay, crisis averted. Let's see if this works any better. Okay, nice and hot. I think my sucker is clogged. I knew I shouldn't have got the super cheap one. I have another even cheaper one. I might dig out. This one, just not gonna behave. It just feels so weak. Let's try this one. Again, I'm gonna... Yes, that worked perfectly. Let's get you close to that. That hole is empty. Cool. I'm gonna do that a bunch of times. Let's just get this other one real quick while we're here. Yep, worked perfectly. Okay, I'm gonna turn this into a time lapse and go through and desolder all these, and then we'll pull them all out one by one. It was not too bad, actually. Little pointers that I could add, stuff that I picked up while I was going. You should solder left to right if you're right-handed, and vice versa, so that you can just like glob down all the solder on all the joints and then go through and do them without like picking up all the goopy solder on your hand. Yeah, use plenty of flux, get your temperature hot enough, add leaded solder. You have a little bit longer than you think with this, but so you just like, you know, take your iron off and put this on as soon as you can, pull the trigger, and it usually works out. But also just leave your soldering iron on the joint for longer than you think is necessary. Just make sure it's flowed all the way through to the other side of the via. You can also kind of feel it as it gets fully liquid. The pin will start to wiggle around. You can feel that. And then that's when you know that it's, you know, it's okay to do the sucky boy. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Honestly, I enjoyed this way more than the switch lubing yesterday. That was way more tedious. I just like soldering. It's fun. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. I know that some of them are gonna be, you know, a little bit misbehaving, especially these first ones where I didn't quite have my technique down. But as I went on, they just got easier and easier. So yeah, I'm going to take this one last screw that I forgot to remove out, and then I'm going to start attempting to pull the switches out with my switch puller. This guy. And also, I guess, just be careful around certain stuff. Like, we got this little microcontroller here, and there's like a ton of little support components around, so don't be dragging your iron all willy-nilly around the board. You're probably gonna knock something off. And yeah, I just I keep my palm rested on the table as I'm going, just to be steady, because I'm generally kind of shaky. So yeah, just be aware of where your iron's at, and yeah, it's pretty easy. Fun, even. Okay, well, I'm gonna take this screw out, have a little snack or something, and then come back and we'll start pulling these switches out. Oh, look at that. One just fell out. Wow, that's awesome. Cool. Well, that, you know, is, oh, another one. That bodes well for what is to come. This should be not too bad. I thought I was gonna have to struggle with this thing. We'll see. Okay. Well, so those two switches that fell out were here in the numpad, and it looks like the way this metal plate is cut out, they weren't like clipped into anything, because they have to have these little stabilizers behind this, or beside it. So they weren't like being clipped into the board. So I think the other ones will not be quite as easy. So let's just start at the top and see how this goes. So let's see if this is as easy as I hope it's gonna be. I really wanna be gentle because I don't wanna scratch up my metal plate. Oh, that's so easy. Whew, okay. I guess I'll just time lapse it. All right, so I was able to get most of them out. Just went through and gave them all a little wiggle. And if they didn't come out like immediately, I just didn't want to yank on them because I don't want to tear any of the pads or damage any of the vias. So yeah, that was probably like 80% of them out. And you can see you can also see the itty bitty little RGB LEDs there. Where's that? Yeah. That little guy is the RGB LED, which is pretty impressive that it's that small. But yeah, let's address the ones that are stuck. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna heat up the pins from the other side and gently wiggle them to get them out. And then we'll clean up all the points to make sure the holes are free, and we'll put in the new switches. See this? The last one is the most stuck. There it goes. Okay, there we go. There's all the kale blue clicky switches out. And actually, I didn't really realize these were kale until I, just a moment ago, got up close to them. Let's see if you can see this. Kale, spelled not at all how I would expect it to be kale. Spelled kale. Cool. These are nice switches. They're good switches. They're just very loud. Oh, okay, I see. The stabilizers are keeping it on there. So this one's loose, this one's loose. Okay, and then they just come out like that. I kind of want to keep them together as a, you know, assembly. Huh. Didn't miss any screws, did I? What is keeping you on there, Bubba? Ah, I did miss screw. Look, this little spongy ground connection or shield or whatever, he's hiding a screw underneath. Glad I didn't go any further with that. Okay, where's my screwdriver? Cool. Now, finally, moment of truth. Does this lift off? Oh, yes it does. Yeah, that's grungy. I don't know how well that comes across on camera, but it's covered in dust and crud. So I'm really glad I'm getting to fully clean this board. And this piece is not too bad. This is where it's evidence I spilled coffee on my keyboard once. For now, I'm just gonna use some IPA and a toothbrush and clean this side first, and then go to this side, and I guess I'll clean off some of that flux. I'm just gonna get it fluxy again though when I go to actually resolder the new switches, but yeah, that's what I'm about to do. So let's just do a leisurely cleaning. Yeah, that's the side that really matters. I ended up pulling a vents and spilling a bunch of IPA everywhere, but so this got a little bit more thorough cleaning than I was intending. And it's not perfect still, obviously. I just wanted to get the bulk of the flux off so that when I go to clean it after I solder on all the new switches, it's not quite as saturated with flux. Yeah, cool. Now I will wash the other thing, clean off these stabilizers, and yeah, get to reassembling this board. And by the other thing, I mean this plate. So I'm can't put this off any longer. I have to solder on the new keys. Okay, now that I got these cleaned, I'm realizing that I just went through all the trouble to get all these switches lubed, and why don't I just take these apart somewhat and lube them where they should be lubed. So I think the only place that's like really necessary to grease is right there where the bar clips in, because that's where the friction's going to be. They're moving well. So I'm going to do that for all the other ones. Okay, I think I have the order of operations figured out. I think I need to get the stabilizers on first, and then put the PCB on, and I'll put those 2 screws in, and then put the switches in and start soldering them. Are you kidding me? How did I get these out? Oh, tricksy. I got it. Okay, so you have to put like the whole thing in and then shimmy it around. I can't even explain it. That's really ridiculous. But yeah, that's free. That seems like how it should be. So I think I'm going to try and do that to the rest of them. They all look in place properly. And go to the back to take our board. And it goes this way. LEDs go into the slot. And then line it up with the screw posts. And I think that's it. Now, I'll put in 2 screws. Okay, I think we can actually solder now. but we're gonna have to clip all the switches through. I think this might be kind of a pain in the ass. We'll see. So here's that escape key. Oh, it's easy peasy. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on time lapse and put all the new freshly lubed switches in. Bad. But yeah, that's good. I was just basically taking them one by one and inspecting the pins first, making sure they didn't have any super mega bent out of shape pins, and if there were, fixing them, and then line it up. It's kind of tricky. You have to line it up on both sides, make sure both the pins are going through the hole, they're not getting folded or anything, and then squeeze and click them in. And the first few was kind of nerve-wracking because the PCB was like flexing a bunch. So you have to put quite a bit of pressure to get these through. But as it got further along, they got more and more, it felt more and more solid. So yeah, and then just give them all a little test push and they'll feel good. So I think we're actually ready to solder this puppy. So let's set that up real quick. So let's actually press record on the microscope. Go. A little bit of flux here, a little bit of flux there. Get some nice clean joints. Yeah. Try and feed the solder into both the part and the iron. Not too much, get a nice fillet. Looking good. All right, let's do that 100 odd more times. Well, I'm glad I was looking out for this because sure enough, I had stuck one in, the pin was completely bent over. I'm gonna fix that real quick. So I'm about halfway done. Let's keep on keeping on. All right, we are done soldering. Now I'm just gonna do a quick inspection under the microscope. So let's get this recording. And just make sure we haven't missed any joints or otherwise messed anything up. So nothing's there. There's no white peg in the middle. Same for that one. Here's the microcontroller. Oh, what is it? STM32 L100. Army. That's funny. Is that on purpose? Why? Army? Never seen that before. Seems like an Easter egg. I did not melt the connector, thankfully. think we're good. I'm gonna clean it and put it back together. Alright, well, it's by no means perfect, but I think that's good enough. Basically ended up just irrigating it with the isopropyl alcohol. Just splashing a crap load on there and then scrubbing it and flinging it all around, and it's kind of messy to my work area, but kind of does the trick. This looks good. I think we're ready to reassemble. I'm not sure how this was oriented. Okay, let's get all the screws out. I need to put one more, these silver screws, in here. Yeah, that's okay. Then the big thing was over this area, I believe. Let's see how it should be oriented. Don't think it matters too much, but try and get it back close to how it was. That's exactly how it was. Okay. So this puppy, there it is. Yeah, it was the way I thought it was. I was just overthinking it. And then this last little silver screw goes there. Okay, it's looking good. I don't know. I'm just gonna do the top ones first because it's gonna take a while. Got all the screws in. Now I gotta address these little feet. I'm gonna take the old adhesive off of it, and I'm gonna use this thin double-sided tape. It's meant for adhering heat sinks, but it'll work fine for this. Cool. Now we just gotta put the keycaps on. We're ready to test it. I'm gonna get my laptop so I can pull up a keyboard just to make this easier. I've tried to do it without reference and probably could, given enough time, but I just not in the mood for the puzzle right now. I just want to finish this. take a little sneak peek at the sound. Oh, I'm liking it so far. Oh, I love it. Feels great. Okay, now's the scary part. Got to plug it in and test it. Oh wow, it turned out so good. Wow. Okay, well, as you can see, not all went to plan. Got it all back together, and I plugged it in, and all the keys worked perfectly, and it lit up, and it was awesome. But then I noticed that the left control had no light on it. So basically, I took the switch off, I masked the area with some copper tape, and I tried to just reflow it with the hot air station down back into place, because it had just ripped up. Thankfully, it didn't rip up any of the pads, as you can see. Pads are still intact. But it wouldn't go back down into place, and I was trying to poke at it to get it to lay flat, and it pinged off somewhere. So that thing's gone. So, and it's tiny, it's microscopic. But you know what? I took the risk by doing this project, and it could have been a lot worse. I could have completely destroyed my keyboard, but you know, that's a small casualty. It's one little LED in the corner, and honestly, all the pads are there. All the pads are there. They're all, you know, none of them are lifted. So if I want to in the future, I could, you know, buy one of those little microscopic RGB LEDs and stick it on there and try and resolder a new one. But for now, I'm just going to put the switch back on it and put it back together and call it done. Do the outro video. Just do the sound test, compare it to the first keyboard, yeah, call it that. I'm happy with it. I'm a little bummed, but you know what? It is what it is. It's all right. So one final addendum to this video. I went on AliExpress, I did some research, and I figured out, I'm pretty sure this is the correct RGB LED. It's common anode, 4 little pads. It's the right size. So I think that this will work. So in the future, I will be taking the keyboard apart and trying to replace that LED, but that will be for another video because, yeah, that's going to be a bit of a project in itself. But yeah, it was like $3 for 100 of them. So yeah, I had to snatch some up so that I can, try that out in the future. But yeah, look forward to that in the future.